Today we are going to be canning blackberry syrup. We are using more of those beautiful, local, fresh, hand-picked blackberries. This is the rest of the bucket that we have left after the last video making blackberry pie filling. The recipe actually calls for 6.5 cups of berries, which I started with, but I did end up using 1.5 gallons of berries in total in order to get 4 cups of juice. Blackberries are very high in fiber, so I ended up having to use a lot in order to get the amount of juice that I needed. So at first, as always, you'll get started by cleaning the berries. So rinse in fresh water with a splash of white vinegar and dish soap, and then rinse in cool, clean water, and then strain out the berries into a cooking pot. And you're going to put the pot directly on the heat on about a medium flame. And as the berries warm up, you'll actually crush them directly in the pot to release the juices in the pot. And the recipe said to simmer for 5 to 10 minutes. So the berries will start to release the juices as they warm up and as they get manually crushed. And then once they reach the simmer, this first batch here I simmered for 10 minutes. And then you'll strain the berries. You actually do a 2-part straining. So at first you basically just take a spoon or a ladle and kind of smash them through a metal strainer here. You can see some of those berry juices straining through the bottom. And then you'll just take the spoon and just manually push the berries through to separate out the solids from the berry juice. And the leftover dry parts up here, all of this leftover fibrous parts of the berries, you can just go ahead and discard that. If you have a compost heap, you can put it there. And this first batch really only yielded just over a cup. So this is where I ended up using almost a gallon of berries in there. I just put everything in. And that's when I finally got 4.5 cups of juice. So cheesecloth is best for the second step, but I hadn't even had a chance to wash it. It had only just arrived in the mail. So I'm using a cloth jelly bag instead. And this is where we're going to strain the juice a second time, because you really want just a clear juice left at the end. You don't want any particles in there at all. So here I kind of rigged up that jelly bag so that it's hanging, and then I took a glove because berries are very messy, they stain everything, and I just went ahead and manually squeezed the juice through the bag. If I had to do this process again, there are many things I would do differently. This is a very labor-intensive method. We did get the required minimum 4 cups of juice. And then we put that back into a cleaned pot. And this is one of my favorite parts here, where you add the sugar. I just did a slight adjustment because the recipe said you'll have 4.5 to 5 cups of juice, and I got 4, so I just reduced the sugar a little bit. I did some calculations. And look at this. This really is one of my favorite parts. Just look at that beautiful dark red berry juice mixing in with the sugar to make the syrup. The process is really very beautiful. Especially in person, those red colors are very vibrant. And here the sugar and the juice are fully incorporated. And we're going to bring that mixture to a boil on medium heat and then simmer for 1 minute. After that 1 minute, you'll remove the mixture from the heat and then skim off the foam. which you can then just discard. This just makes the final product look a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer. It does take some time though. But look how pretty it looks when it's all done. And now it's time to can. You can see I have the water bath canner ready to go. We'll take those tongs and pull out one hot half-pint jar. And then you'll take the wide mouth funnel and place that on the jar. And then we're going to spoon in that blackberry syrup until we have reached a 1/2 inch headspace. And I've talked about this in other videos. For some recipes you need 1 inch of headspace or 1/4 inch of headspace. And this is why it's so important to follow a safe, tested recipe, because the recipe will tell you exactly what measurement you should be going for. There's the 1/2 inch mark. And we're going to add a little bit more volume. In a perfect world, you would get it right every single time, but it never works out perfectly every time. The second best thing is you try to aim for a little bit under volume and then add a little bit more in increments. But sometimes I know I get a little overzealous and I overfill the jars, and then I have to take a spoon and fish some out. So this is the easiest way actually. Slightly underfill and then make small adjustments. And there we go. We now have the 1/2 inch headspace. So I'll take a clean, damp paper towel and just wipe that rim off so that we can get a nice, solid seal with the lid. We'll take a clean lid and a ring and place that lid on, and then twist the ring until finger tight. Then we'll take those tongs and place the jar carefully in the water bath. And as always, just work slowly and steadily. You don't want to drop anything or splash anything, especially when you're working with big containers of boiling water like this. And here all the jars are filled. We'll turn the heat on high and cover with the lid to help maintain that heat in the pot. And then after 10 minutes of boiling, we'll remove the jars. And it's actually kind of cool because the second jar popped just as I was setting it down on the counter. So I'll be quiet here so that you can hear that part. And then you'll let the jar sit for 12 to 24 hours. And of course you want to clean the jars and then label them with the contents and the date. And I'm taking this video about a week after, and it's so funny because some of the syrup actually set kind of like a jelly. So I might have made jelly by accident, but regardless, it's going to taste amazing. Thank you for watching.